Hi everyone, welcome back to MyAngle. I'm Joy Victoria, and today's guest is Shane Johnson, who recently co-starred in the hit series Power.
Hello. Yeah, let's do it.
So can you give us a little bit of background on how many years you've been acting and how you got into this industry?
Yeah, I've been acting since I was about 14.
Really? What made you want to start at that age?
I grew up in a little farm town up in Washington State, and I had a teacher who was an English teacher, but he also directed the plays at the high school. And he was just kind of always prodding me to audition, and I wasn't really interested in it. And then finally, I was like, "Fine, I'll come try out for your stupid play," and and then ended up doing Snoopy and You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and then I was just kind of hooked. And I think even prior to that, I always wanted to be an entertainer. I just didn't have the words to sort of put it to, I didn't really know how to express what I wanted to do or be, but it was always kind of in me to make people laugh, to do characters, to do voices, to dance. Like dancing was my first passion.
Where did you learn how to dance?
Well, I learned how to dance basically from Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Wow.
Way before your time. But
Yeah.
there are these incredible movies around that time in the 80s that kind of popularized breakdancing. And I was up in Othello, Washington at the time, little town. And when that movie came out, I was just like, what am I seeing? What is this? And so I started teaching myself, watching, because back then we had VCR. So
that's before YouTube tutorials and stuff.
Yeah. So you had to like stop the thing and rewind it and then hit play again and hope you sort of got the right amount of time, and then you just keep looping it over and over again and trying to figure out the dance moves. And you're right, now with TikTok and Instagram, they do the tutorials, they break it down.
Like everyone's a dancer now.
But back then I loved it. I joined a troupe that we went around like breakdancing at schools and stuff like that. And I was just really, I guess passionate about making people happy and being an artist. But again, not really knowing what to do with it because I was from a town that didn't really, people were farmers and around in trucks and shotguns and stuff like that. So it was
So you said you like making people laugh. So have you ever like dabbled in comedy or anything like that?
Yeah. I would say that my entree into acting came from the standpoint of comedy, really. But, one of the things that you get saddled with is your casting.
Yeah.
And so I don't look like the typical, comedy person.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like, listen, the difference is I'm not making an excuse. I will do that. The comedy stuff will come. But I believe that for me, my way in is to become a big enough celebrity.
Where you can kind of genre switch and stuff.
Yeah, where people are going to be like, wait, Shane doing this?
Yeah.
But then when when I get an opportunity, I can capitalize. But historically speaking, I probably got into acting, I would say, because of comedy. My love of sitcoms and my love of is what made me go, this is what I want to do. And then when I came to Hollywood, really my first job I booked in London. I was living in London studying there. And so right away I started doing drama stuff, just what I got hired to do.
Yeah.
I got hired to be like a lot of guest star work where I was like a killer. I was like, all kinds of horror. I killed lots of people throughout my 20s and 30s. I was either killed a lot or killed a lot of people in doing a bunch of guest spots. And then, doctors and lawyers and things like that, but always pretty serious. Like, I don't even think I've done one comedy show series where I played Fred Willard's son, who Fred Willard just passed away last. was hysterical. And that was Ileana Douglas's series. Anyway, so that was fun, but I don't really get the opportunity very often.
Yeah, so
Okay.
experiencing being like in a comedy and you do other stuff like drama, what would your dream role look like? Like a role that you would just like die to have?
Well, I think probably this is true of most artists. You could probably testify to this as well. The dream is really to do something that showcases kind of everything you're about, like everything,
Yeah.
rather than coming in and being like, okay, I'm the jerk.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the jerk, the annoying sort of lawyer that everybody's like, oh my god, I hate that guy as soon as I'm in the room. But if once you're playing that character, that's kind of how everybody sees you.
Yeah.
And so to play something that is more well-rounded, where you get the opportunity to kind of, be heartfelt, really connect,
Mm-hmm.
but then at the same time, be funny. When you have something that can kind of straddle the line, where 1 minute you're like, barely can keep yourself together because it's so
Yeah.
emotional, and then the next minute you're laughing. That to me would be really exciting to be able to
Yeah.
do both.
So since you were talking about, your typecasting, you get cast like, say for instance, your role in Power, you play kind of like a jerk or unlikable character. So how is that for you? Is it difficult or easy? How does that come to you?
Well, it's been a pretty awesome experience playing Cooper Saxe,
Yeah.
because I think initially he was just kind of I don't know if you've seen the whole show, but it's if you have, it's a little adult, but it's very much like my character was designed to be the thorn in Angela's side, and just kind of to put pressure on her in the office, knowing that she was going to start breaking the law and that I was kind of wanting her job. And so it's that kind of dynamic. And so one of the things that's cool is that my character really evolves into somebody who's really funny, who's really he's a jerk and he's self-serving, but he's also very funny and witty. And then
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, now even deeper into the show, he's showing heart as well. So I feel like, you asked me a question earlier of like, what would be your ideal role? It's taken 8 seasons or 7 seasons to kind of condense a role like this and
Yeah.
craft it over the course of 7 years. But that being said, I would say that it's really grown into something that is a role that I really love and that I could play forever. Now, of course, I would like to have a lot more to do. Like
Yeah.
it would be great to have it be a character like this in a show that was about that character.
Hmm. Where you
So,
get to see like different sides of that person.
yeah, and see him in different environments and sort of see what he's capable of. And that's the thing that's interesting to me, is to see what human beings are capable of when they're pushed to their limits. One of the things I like about our show is that it really pushes extremes. Like how uncomfortable can we make you, and what can we ask of you as a person, and are you willing to do it? What kind of what will you stand up for? What do you
Hmm.
really believe in? Are you willing to sacrifice yourself or those around you for truth or for justice? And
Hmm.
and what is your version of justice, and all those sorts of things. So
Yeah.
it's been a pretty awesome ride.
Yeah. So this year, what season is it?
Well, Power has completed.
Yeah.
We did 6 seasons,
6 seasons. That's a long run.
and then now they're doing 4 spin-offs, which I think is unheard of.
Will
But
we get to see you in the spinoffs?
yes, I'm in the first spin-off that is called Ghost. It's Power Book 2
Mm-hmm.
Ghost, and that's starring Michael Rainey Jr., who plays Tariq,
Mm-hmm.
Method Man, who is awesome, Mary J. Blige, myself, Tori Naughton, who plays Tasha. So it's a great cast, and then
Yeah.
a bunch of other really exciting new cast members that I could name. But there's like 15 of them. Exciting new world, and I get to keep playing this character and get more involved in and have more to do. So that's really exciting. And
So since you play like this character, some people may be a fan of your character, some may not be. Have you ever had a fan encounter where people treat you like kind of like they don't know how you're going to act because of how you act on the show? I know as an actor, it's easy to separate yourself from the character, but for fans, do they separate you from your character?
you know, it's funny. I think people really like to pretend like we are our characters.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody knows that that's not the case, right?
Mm-hmm.
But people will treat you like that if they see you on the street. They'll be like, "Leave Ghost alone," or
Yeah.
But in reality, there's like that sort of. There's also some excitement about like, "Oh, you're the dude from the show. Like,
Yeah.
can I get a picture?" And then they'll want to take a picture, but then they'll be like, "Man, I hate you."
Yeah.
Like, so it's fun, and I've never felt like uncomfortable or felt like anybody was online a little bit more. It's
Mm-hmm.
in person, people kind of are people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they can see like, oh, we're just people, and this is fun. Like I love the show, and that's the end of it. But online, people can go in hard. Like if I ever see you, I'm gonna punch you in the face.
Yeah.
But that's part of it. That's part of it. It's better to have really active, involved, passionate fans than to have people kind of be like, eh.
Yeah.
You
You
know?
want to be convincing too. I guess if people have that reaction, it just means like you're a good actor. So the show is not only a huge hit, but it's interesting because 50 Cent is the executive producer, correct?
Yeah, 50 Cent is the executive producer. He's also starred in it
Yeah.
seasons, and he directed. Yeah, he directed this last season 6. He directed episode 3, I believe. He was great.
So were you previously a fan of him like before you got casted for the show?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, you got to tell us about like when you first met him. What was that like?
Well, you know, I'm not going to lie. I think I was probably. I think I was. I'm not going to say I think I was intimidated.
Starstruck.
Not really starstruck. More kind of intimidated
Hmm.
because we're the same age,
Oh,
which is
yeah. So
which
he's your peer.
yeah, and yet his career has such legs to it. He's had so many amazing hits, both
Hmm.
musically, but also in terms of cinematically. And now more than ever, I mean, he's killing it,
Yeah.
and he's an entrepreneur. He's got like so many different brands that he's a part of, and that have helped build his fortune as well. And so I'm really impressed by him as an artist, as a business person. If we could all emulate the track that he's traveled, we'd be better off. There are a handful of people out there right now that I follow on Instagram. Him being one, The Rock, Kevin Hart, this guy Gary V.
Mm-hmm. I know.
That I don't know how they have so much energy
Yeah.
and find the time to do all the things that they're doing. Like I don't know
Yeah.
how 50 Cent he's got like 8 or 9 shows he's producing.
Yeah.
He's acting in them, directing them, going around promoting them. He's coming out with new music. He's producing other music. He's got a book that he just came out with.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, when do you do anything else? Yeah, I just have a hard time with motivation.
Really? Why?
Because I have it's probably just I have a hard time. Let me be very clear. What I mean is I have a hard time being motivated to just like voraciously expand my world like
Hmm.
a beast. I want to drink from that same Kool-Aid. I would love to just have that appetite for world domination, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Hmm.
And of course you can. Not everybody can be The Rock. I mean,
Yeah.
not everybody could be. I mean, he's the biggest movie star on earth, and then some
Yeah.
who also is like producing, Ballers on HBO and that fitness TV show.
Hmm.
coming out with books and going on tour and then going and doing an event with the WWE, and then he's on a plane to promote another movie. It's like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to do it for a year. I want to do that really hardcore every day, wake up at like 4 a.m. and just be going until like for a year, just be hardcore like that. And then at the end of that year, just retire and just be done with it.
Yeah, like I've heard guys like Kevin Hart say they only get like 5 hours of sleep. So do you sleep a lot?
No, I really don't, but he's but then also, you know, listen, there's give and take, because Kevin Hart, you know, like he's on go, he's constantly going, but it's also probably really hard for him to be home and be a dad all the time. You know what I mean? Because he's, not that I'm saying he's not providing, because but I saw that show, he had a thing on Netflix, and his wife was like going, where is he? I never see him, basically.
Yeah.
On go all the time.
How is it for you? You're not only an actor, but you're a husband and father. So how is it for you balancing that with your acting career?
Well, it's been pretty wild on Power, because we film in New York. So like I'm on a plane all the time. Last year I flew 44 legs back and forth to New York. So there was 22 round trip trips, which is basically flying every, I don't know, 8 or 9 days. I was on.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'd fly back here. I'd be here for 24 hours and turn around and fly right back. Because I don't want to miss, you know, the other thing is when I started this, if we had known that it was going to be this successful and go this long, maybe we would have moved to but you never know that if a show's going to take off. So we've kind of kept it this way, and it's all my kids remember. You know, Shep was, who's 13 now, he was like 5 when I started this.
Are you serious?
Let me see. No, yeah, he was like 6. He was 6 when I started, and Gunnar, my younger son, was like 3. So I don't remember anything else other than me flying back and forth across the country all the time. So is it hard? I'm not going to say it's hard. It's complicated. Just because of where things are and the amount of time I need to be in different places and the traveling, but it's such a blessing. I mean, if you told me, hey, this is what you're going to have to do for the next 30 years, can you handle it? I'd be like, sign me up.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a blessing.
So Power, a lot of people would say it's a very mature show. So as someone who acts in the show, you know, some people might be like, I am not letting my kids watch that. Other people might be like, me and my kids watch that every week together. So what about you? Do you let your own kids watch the show?
My kids have never seen the show.
They've never, not one episode?
They saw one episode. They came with me to an event once and met 50 and took pictures. And we watched an episode, and I was okay with that. And I also knew that in the episode there was some violence, but there wasn't sex, and there's a bunch of bad language, but you know, my kids, you know.
Do your kids ever like ask you, can we watch the show? I'm sure they beg you all the time.
Yeah. And I just don't think it's appropriate. Yeah, they're kind of fine with it. Like I don't think it really, like I said, they don't remember anything else. So I don't think that they ever sit around and go like, my dad's on a TV show, and it's a hit TV show. I don't think that even occurs to them.
They just see you as, that's Dad.
Shut up, Dad, you're stupid. Like that's basically.
Yeah. So what is your favorite part about your job? Like a lot of people's dream job would be acting, but what's your favorite part about it?
Well, I think my favorite part about acting is that you get to really keep asking. It's a place where you're pushed to continue to ask really human questions of yourself. What makes you tick? Why people do the things that they do? You know what? We're really kind of exploring why people are the way they are and what makes them make the decisions that they make. Why they fall in love. Why they end up hating somebody, why they kill, whatever it is that humans can do. An actor can put themselves in their shoes and kind of walk through that and try to live that and try to imagine that. And I think,
Mm-hmm.
most other jobs, you don't have to consider any of that stuff. You
Yeah.
get up and you drink some coffee and you get in your car and you go to work and you crunch numbers, or you do whatever it is you do. You build a building and then you go home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas as an actor, you're kind of like going, what is this all about? And how can I express it in a way that is impactful to somebody watching it? So anyway, I don't know, it's fun. I can't imagine doing anything else other than
Yeah.
music and dance.
So obviously in acting, more than any industry, you get so many no's. Like that's a huge con of that. So how do you deal with rejection and no's?
Well, at first, when I first started acting, getting rejected is not really the right word for it. It's just you weren't the choice.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't because, and at the time it felt like, oh, it's because somebody's better than me,
Mm-hmm.
or I didn't do a good enough job. And so you feel like you can muscle it, like, oh, I'm gonna be better than these.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna try harder, and I'm gonna learn my lines faster and harder and stronger. And it's like, and it really doesn't have anything to do with that. And when you realize that it's not personal,
Mm-hmm.
and that it has, by the time, this is my belief, and these percentages are nonsense, so ignore them, but I just use it to illustrate a point. I would venture to guess that 50% of the job is looking right.
Yeah, kind of fitting like other people's vision.
Yeah, if not more. Sometimes you're too good looking. Sometimes you're not good looking enough. Sometimes you're too tall. Sometimes you don't quite fit with the other person that they already cast.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they decide to go with somebody who's different color than you.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you walk in the room and you immediately they're like, oh no.
Yeah.
They'll let you audition, but you already don't have the job. But then you get your information back from your manager, like, so hey, you didn't get it or whatever. And you're going like, oh God, that's right. And the truth is you never even had a chance.
Yeah.
But we can't think like, oh, we don't have chances at stuff. So you have to play everything as if this is the one. And yet somehow master the ability of going, even though this is the one, the second you're done with it, you just move on. And, whatever. By the time you actually navigate that crap, all that stuff, you probably only have a 1 in 5 chance of getting this job anyway.
Yeah.
Then after that, so now you're down to 20%. And then I think it's really about the acting, the choices. And I think more than anything, it's about, do the people in the room like you? My mentor, Richard Lawson, says that it's more important to book the room than it is to book the job.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, you may not be right for this part, but if they like you and if they're like, oh my God, she's a delight, I want to be around her,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'll bring you back in when you are right for something.
So you play a cop on Power, right?
Essentially,
Yeah.
a government cop. I'm actually a district attorney
Mm-hmm.
for the Eastern District, a U.S. attorney, and so he essentially is part of a task force, which he's enforcing law. So he's kind of like, you could call him a Fed or a cop essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I don't carry around like a badge and a gun.
Yeah.
I mean, I might, but I'm not supposed to.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think? What is your take on everything going on in the country right now? And if all of America was watching you right now, what would you want to say to everybody?
Well, boy, that's a tall order. That's a tall order. Well, here's what I would say. I think that there's a lot more good in this world than there is bad. And I think that we have to be careful when we let the few of us define most of us.
Mm-hmm.
And same with cops, same with the looters and the rioters.
Mm-hmm.
Because what ends up happening is the cops become defined by the few cops that are, that are a-holes, right? And that are doing racist, hateful, whatever stuff. And those few cops end up defining the rest of them. And
Mm-hmm.
the rest of them are going like, whoa, that's not me. You're not representing me, but it's too late. They've already been stamped as, all cops are bastards. Like that's the thing going around, right? ACAB, all cops are bastards. And strangely, it's the same with the protesters. You've got all these peaceful protesters that are about this beautiful message of change,
Yeah.
hope, and like a future and how things can be, and that we're demanding that things change and that we're no longer going to tolerate this. And then you have people come in and start burning things and writing on things and destroying property and stealing. And those few people end up defining the whole mass of people.
Yeah.
And then you have these whole people go, no, that's not us. That doesn't represent us. And strangely, it's the same problem the cops are having. And I think it's the same problem that white people have, the same problem that black people have. Black people are like saddled with like black communities have too much crime in them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the police are there. It's like, well, now you're talking about letting the few define the many. So my point is, if we could flip that on its head and start defining all of us by the most of us, and letting that critical mass, which is the energy of all the love and all the desire that we have as a group, if we can allow that to lead the way, then we can't lose.
Yeah.
There's enough for all of us. And so we need to uplift the black communities. And we need to support black businesses. And that's because that's the future. If you support black businesses, then the people that own those businesses can better support the next generation. As it goes quieter, that the movement continues.
Yeah.
That we take it upon ourselves, those of us that can do something about it, to really solve the problem. Because listen, this wasn't about George Floyd.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a straw on a can back that's been broken for a very long time. Just another straw. And anyway, so that's a heavy question.
Yeah.
Probably a pretty heavy answer, but I'm very hopeful because I feel like one of the most exciting things that's going to happen is that new leaders are going to come out of this.
Yeah, I agree.
New, better leaders will come out of this time, and people that have voices that cut through the nonsense, cut through the politics, and can really be heard. And maybe it's you. People need it. People need somebody that can communicate in a way that everybody can hear it. But I believe that. I truly believe that. I mean, you just got a real answer from me.
Yeah. So before we go and wrap this up, what are you pursuing for the future, and what do you hope to see in your future, and what can we expect to see from you?
Well, I am on this spinoff, and so that's exciting that we will be coming out with that in the near future. I'm really looking forward to producing things, and I have an animated series that I'm writing and producing, and I may even end up animating it. Something I also
do.
And then I want to have a couple of features that I want to get off the ground as well. So this is not to take my foot off the gas in the acting world, just to diversify and be a little bit more like The Rock.
Yeah.
A little bit more like 50, but just not to that extent. But and I want to diversify. I want to have other things going on.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see what's in store for you. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I really enjoyed it.
Of course, it was a joy.
And before we go, shout out your social medias just so everyone can connect with you.
Well, the truth is I'm trying to figure out TikTok. I don't even know what my handle is there because I posted like 3 videos and they're all about my dog. But I'm at Shane_M_Johnson on Instagram, and look for the blue check because there are some other people out there, creating these other nonsense profiles.
Yeah.
And then it's the same on Twitter, I believe.
Okay. Well, thank you so much again.
You bet.
All right. Bye. Enjoy the rest of your day.